You will never be successful at losing weight until you learn this one thing. Focusing on your insulin is more important than controlling your calories.
When you produce more insulin, two things happen. One, you become more resistant to it, and two, you just store more fat.
That's what 150 calories of donuts does to your blood sugar, and that's what 150 calories of Greek yogurt does to your blood sugar. Unhealthy fats, sugars, refined carbs, healthy protein, no unhealthy fats.
3 ways to control insulin and lose body fat.
Show me somebody who takes insulin every day and, oh yeah, I can lose weight just like that. They can't lose weight.
No. Have you come across the claim that if your insulin levels are high, it's impossible for you to lose weight? If so, then lucky for you that you have found this video. Because unlike the lady and the gentleman being present in this video, I will take a deeper look at the science behind these claims. First of all, how does insulin work? Whenever blood sugar levels are high, insulin gets released by your pancreas to bring down the blood sugar levels. But insulin has so many other functions. I would like to highlight one specific functions, especially when it comes to fats. Yes, insulin plays a role in fat metabolism, and that's exactly where this claim comes from. Insulin is promoting lipogenesis, so the creation of new fatty acids, and inhibiting lipolysis, the breaking down of fatty acids to produce energy. In short, insulin promotes fat storage. This theory, at least on paper, seems to make sense, because if your insulin levels are low, your body doesn't have the ability to store fats, right? The good thing about this theory is that it's a very testable theory. Your diet, of course, consists of 3 macros: protein, fats, and carbs. And it's exactly the carbs that make your blood sugar level rise the most. Thankfully, a lot of studies have been conducted on low-carb and high-carb diets. And the researchers also matched them either for calories, proteins, and or both. This paper, published by Knott and colleagues, included 61 randomized controlled trials with almost 7,000 participants that were either randomized in low carbohydrate diets or in quote-unquote balanced carbohydrate diets. Both diets put the participants in a caloric deficit, and the results were as follows. In short, there were no significant differences between these two diets in the short and long term. In the short term, which means up until 8.5 months, the average difference between these two diets were about 1 kilogram, and in the long term, it even became less than 1 kilogram. Most of the papers I read that compared a low-carb diet to a high-carb diet saw some small differences in the short term. But those small differences seemed to disappear the longer the studies went on, as the following meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials conducted by Lay and colleagues seem to indicate as well. In this paper, 33 studies were included with almost 4,000 participants. And what's specifically important here is the highlighted sentence. After 2 years, the effects on weight loss and improvements of metabolic risk factors were at least the same between low-carb and low-fat diets. When we are talking about weight loss, it's very important to ask yourself the question, yes, these people are losing weight, but are they losing body fat or are they also losing muscles? Preserving muscle mass or even gaining muscle mass is of course desired. And it's precisely the body fat that we want to lose when we want to lose weight. And this is one of the many topics that Kevin Hall and colleagues looked at in a paper published in 2017. In this paper called The Obesity Energetics, Body Weight Regulation and the Effects of Diet Composition, Kevin Hall and colleagues created a forest plot. In this forest plot, Kevin Hall and colleagues compared a low-fat diet to a low-carb diet. And as you can see here, although the differences were quite small, a low-fat diet, so also a high-carb diet, led to a more than 16 grams of body fat differences within these trials. Well, to be fair, I would argue that in real life, that's not really a meaningful finding. There doesn't seem to be actually any body fat differences between these two diets. And that is a really key and important finding. All these people shooting against insulin are exactly arguing that indeed it's now impossible to lose body fat when insulin levels are high. Yet, people on a high carb diet are losing even a little bit more body fats within these very controlled trials. And this is not all, because we also have genetic data. In 2018, Christopher Gardner and colleagues released a very interesting study. In this study, the researchers wanted to find out whether there's a connection between weight loss in overweight people with their genotypes or their genes, or, and this is key, insulin secretion, and either match them for a low-fat diet or a low-carb diet. And to no surprise, after after 12 months, the weight loss was not significant between these two diets. And neither the genes and, more importantly, the insulin secretion was associated with weight loss. My philosophy when it comes to research is this: always look at the human health outcome first. Once we have a great amount of evidence suggesting that it's going into one direction, then we can actually start looking at the mechanisms that might explain these results. All these people fear-mongering on social media are skipping the human health outcome trials. And this is not just for insulin, but nearly all the topics I come across that talk about nutrition on social media. You know what else spikes your blood sugar levels? Exercise. Besides raising your blood sugar level, exercising also raises your blood pressure. Oxidative stress, inflammation. That sounds so scary, but why do we all know that exercising is healthy? Because we take a look at the long-term human health outcome studies. They clearly show us that exercise, at least not in excess, seems to be very health promoting. What are your thoughts about this topic? Feel free to let me know in the comments section. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you during my next video.